We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. When we study the spiritual science, there are several textbooks. The most popular 3 textbooks, which is called as prasthanatrayi, is the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutra. You will never go wrong when you take and keep these 3 textbooks as the basic guideline for your study. This has been a time-tested methodology of teaching the highest truth of the universe. In order to support the 3 textbooks, several acharyas have written supplementary texts to understand and reveal the truth. Shankaracharya wrote Tattva Bodha, Vivek Chudamani, and many other texts. He wrote the bhashyams on these 3 prasthanatrayam. These 3 were not his own revelations, but these are all truth revealed in the Veda. So we must be very clear when we are studying Advaitam, Advaita Vedanta proposed by Shankaracharya. What are we studying? We should be very clear. As students, we should note what are we studying, why we are studying, what is the goal. Panchadasi is a text which you can, it is basically to be done before you start the Upanishads, so that you get an idea of what the Upanishads are going to reveal. But if you have done the Upanishads and you have not done the Panchadasi, you can still do the Panchadasi. So many people come to this text after Upanishads, some people they come before the Upanishads. The text which we will be studying throughout 2022 is this text, because this is it's a very big text, like Vivek Chudamani running into 5, which is running into 550 verses. Brahma Sutra has got 500 odd sutras. Similarly, this text is a very long text consisting of 15 chapters. I plan to do this text throughout 2022. Unless until somewhere in between I feel there is not much interest in this text, then I'll switch over to something else. So this text, as I've said before, has got 15 chapters, and you can take any of these chapters except the 10 to 15, from chapter 11 to 15 is one continuous idea of thought flow of Ananda Mimamsa. Whereas that chapters 1 to 10, you can do it, you can just take any chapter at random and do it. So each chapter is independent, it reveals the truth. The beauty is in all these 10 chapters, 1 to 10, Swami Vidyaranya has used different methodologies. He has taken Panchakosha Viveka in chapter 3. See, there are different methods which are used to reveal the same Atma in us, the same Brahman in the universe. In this chapter, he has taken Swayam Jyoti as the topic. I like this chapter a lot because this is is a very, very concise, to the point text which goes step by step in a very simple way so that normal people can understand what is their own nature. Many a times we have read in the Bhagavad Gita that you are the Purusha. You are the light of consciousness, awareness. So we have studied that in the Upanishads, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Brahma Sutra. How do I realize that in my own self? That is the challenge. See, if you want to do an academic exercise, what is Atma, what is Brahman, you can easily just read the text and then academically you can understand. But when you try to apply that and ask yourself how I am this awareness principle, that is a big question. It is a big topic. It is a time-consuming topic because it involves the mind. The mind today is all of us. The mind today is extrovert. The mind keeps on looking at the world throughout our life. Now, you're teaching the mind to look inside and ask the question, what is this mind itself? To answer this question, what helps us is the nature of Atma. Unless until you understand the consciousness principle clearly, then only this mind can be understood in its true sense. And this particular chapter, consisting of 26 verses, is devoted to understand what happens inside our body-mind structure. You cannot get this knowledge in any other texts of psychology or in the Western philosophy. You cannot get this knowledge. You have to come to this type of text because of the fundamental reason that the mind is analyzed, the sense organs are analyzed, not with reference to themselves, which is what the psychology does. But here, the study is done with reference to awareness, consciousness. This body is our instrument. It is given to us. It is an instrument. I must know how this body functions. How does my mind function? Where does it get the energy to think, to desire, to question so many things in life? Where does that energy come from? What is that? What type of energy is that? Is it electrical energy? Is it mechanical energy? What type of energy is that? Or is it spiritual energy? So these questions are very deep questions. And that is the topic Vidyaranya has taken up in chapter 10. 26 packed verses with this fundamental knowledge about Atma. The core of this is the Mahavakya, Tat Tvam Asi. You must understand that Mahavakya clearly, because then all these chapters will make sense to you. Without the understanding of Mahavakya, if you try to understand these chapters, you will go a little bit, you will not understand the real depth of these verses. To put in short, I will explain to you the Mahavakya. Tat Tvam Asi. I want to revise that because that is a very basic study which you should do when you approach this chapter. The whole universe, according to you, Veda, is divided into two parts. Universe. One is called as Jivatma, which is I, and one is Paramatma, which is the entire creation, including my body and mind. So what the one is called as Jivatma, which is called as the individual, Vyashti, and the second is Paramatma, which is totality, Samashti. This format of Mahavakya, Tat Tvam Asi, you must keep at the background in your mind when you understand, when you try to understand this chapter. So, in Tat Tvam Asi, Tat stands for that Paramatma. That Paramatma has got two natures. One is with the medium of the world, which is the Vakti. Vakti means which is the word meaning of Tat, of Paramatma, which is with the medium called the word. That totality has got another nature, which is called as Nirupadika status, which is without the medium. And that is called as pure consciousness. So now you understand that stands for two things. With the medium, without the medium. With the medium, it is Paramatma in the Saguna form as we see it in the world outside. Nirguna Tattvam is the higher nature which is without the medium. This is the Tat. Now let's look at the other side. Tvam. Tvam means individual. You and I are individuals. We also have two natures. One nature is when I experience the body and the mind and the sense organs. That is called as with the Upadhi of body-mind complex, which is called as Vachyata, which we all know very well. I know my body, I know my mind, I know my intellect, all that we know, which is called as Vachyata. The second portion is called as Lakshyata. Same like Paramatma, it was called Lakshyata. The Lakshyata portion in me also is the same like Paramatma. It is the consciousness awareness principle. So now we have understood Tat and Tvam. Tat divided into two, Tvam divided into two. What we have to now do is drop the first portion, which is the Vachyartha portion. Okay? What you do is negate the Vachyartha, hold on to that consciousness, the Lakshyartha, indicative meaning of Paramatma. Similarly, indicative meaning of Jivatma, hold on to the consciousness awareness. And then what you do is you say the consciousness in both of them is the same. That is why it is called as Asipada. Asipada means what? It is one. Oneness is indicated by Asi. And it is this oneness which is described here in the 10th chapter as Swayam Jyoti. This one consciousness awareness principle is called as Swayam Jyoti. In all the entire text, whatever I have said now in the last 6-7 minutes about Mahavakya, you should always remember. Whenever we study Panchadasi, throughout our 2022, we should remember this fact. We are not talking of the Vachyartha. We are not talking of the physical world experienced by the sense organs. The body is known, the sense organs are known. We are not talking of that at all. We are talking of the Lakshyata, which is the consciousness awareness principle. In all these chapters, Swami Vidyaranya has got only one goal. And that goal is he wants the seeker to clearly understand this consciousness as his or her own nature. He uses different prakriyas, Panchakosha Viveka Prakriya, Avastatraya Viveka Prakriya, Shariratraya Viveka Prakriya, Drigdrishya Viveka Prakriya. All these are different methods. But what is the goal? The goal is I am that pure light of consciousness which illumines this body in the waking state, in the dream state, and in the sleep state. I do not change at all. I am called as Nirvikara. I am the only light of consciousness which is self-evident, self-known, self-aware. There is nothing else in the world which is self-aware. Body is not self-aware. The stones are not self-aware. The mountains are not self-aware. Nothing. The whole world is inert. The only consciousness which is making the world appear sentient is this Swayam Jyoti. With this small introduction, I'll just now go back to the verse number 13, which we saw last week partly, and we will continue that today. What does this verse say? Nirantaram bhasamane kutasthe nyapti rupataha. What is the meaning of this? It says that this light, Swayam Jyoti, is unchangeable, nirvikara. And the second thing is, it is self-luminous. Bhasamane, nirantaram bhasamane, changelessly illumining the universe. What is the meaning of changelessly illumining the universe? It is the light which never goes off. Every other light can go off. How? In the waking state, there is one light which is illumining the entire universe. We say generally it is the sunlight which illumines the whole universe. In the dream state, this sunlight is not there. There is some other light. Then in the sleep state, there is nothing there, but there is some other light. This light of sunlight is not there in the sleep state. It is outside the body, but in your sleep state, your body is not at all known. Therefore, there is another light, which is this light of consciousness. You can never doubt this light of consciousness because it happens to be you. I am that light of consciousness. Each one of us has to claim that. You need not convince others because that they will not understand, because they have not gone through the process of Mahavakya in their mind, which I've explained in the last 10 minutes. You have gone through the process of Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana, means dropping one part, retaining the other part. That is called as Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana. This is a process of teaching. So here, unchangeable witness is this self-luminous consciousness. And Nirantaram. Nirantaram means unchanging, yeah. Kutastha. Each word is very, very important in this. This is a very important verse. I would say the most important verse of the 26 verses. That's why I've gone very slow in this verse. I'm trying to go deep into this verse. Tad bhasa bhasya maneyam buddhi nrityas tanekadha. What happens to this? What is the function of this consciousness, this light of consciousness? What is the role of this consciousness in this universe? The role of this consciousness is it illumines the buddhi. It enlivens the buddhi. Whose buddhi? Your buddhi, my buddhi, the entire buddhi of all the living beings is enlivened by this consciousness. And because of this enlivening factor, the buddhi is dancing to the world. When dancing into the world means what? I have the experience of the world of 5 sense objects. I'm able to listen to good music. I'm able to see form and color. I'm able to enjoy my dishes. Every day I taste my food. I smell different flowers. I can differentiate a lily from a rose. How? Because of this light of consciousness. Without this light of consciousness, the buddhi is inert. And this function of this light of consciousness is taken up very deeply from this verse onwards till the end of the 26th verse. Our functioning of the mind instrument, the senses, the mind, the intellect, how do they function? How does this body says I, the ego in this body? All that is beautifully explained in some 13, 14 verses. That is the depth of this entire Panchadasi. What I'm taking now is the central theme of Panchadasi. And Vidyaranya has beautifully condensed the 26 verses and reveals the nature of that Sakshi. Every verse, when you see it and you experience that Sakshi, when you listen to these verses itself, you must at the same time be able to appreciate the consciousness in you while you're listening itself. It is not after you go and say, no, I'm going to read my book and then I'm going to revise and then I'll come to know what's the conscious. No. While these verses are being explained itself, oh, this is the light in which I am understanding the talk. This is the light. This is the light. This is the light which never goes out. Even in sleep, this light is there. But my mind has gone to sleep. My mind cannot experience the sense objects. But at that time, I am there. I still exist. What is that I? Sakshi. So if you want to know who you are, just remember this one word, Sakshi. You should never forget, I am the Sakshi, I am the witness, I am the witness, I am not the body, mind, sense. The body, mind, sense complex in the third chapter, we will go into the depth of the 5 koshas. I'm going to do that chapter immediately after this chapter is over. I'm going to take up the third chapter. Every verse in the third chapter will tell you why this body is not me, why the senses are not me, why the mind is not me, why the buddhi is not me, why the experience of happiness in the sleep state is not me. In the third chapter, all this is explained. And in the first chapter also, the same thing is explained, but we'll take up third and then we'll do chapter 1. So here, I have explained to you the verse. Now I'll go to where we stopped last week. Now, this is where we stopped. In Vedanta, subject-object difference is an appearance. When do we experience this difference? Is it in the sleep state? No. In the sleep state, what happens? There is no difference between the subject and the object. There is one undifferentiated consciousness, which is reflected in the Karana Sharira. When is this subject-object difference noticed? Is it in the dream state? Yes. There is a duality in the dream state. But can I learn anything in that state? No, because my intellect is in abeyance. It is as good as not functioning. The mind is just throwing up some thoughts. The light of consciousness is illuminating it. That's all. That is the dream state. In the sleep state, I can't have any knowledge because the mind has gone to sleep. There is no teaching happening in the sleep state or the dream state. When do I experience the duality? In the waking state. What is the duality? I am the subject. The whole world is an object of knowledge for me. For my consciousness, the whole world is an object. The waker, identifier with this body is also an object. That is at a deeper level. If you understand, if your mind is ready to absorb this knowledge, you can say that the waker I, the dreamer I, and the sleeper I, all the three put together, which is called as the ego I. Suppose I ask you, how do you define yourself, each one of you? You can say, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a businessman, I'm a painter, I'm a teacher, so many things each one of you can say. But are they all, if I want you to tell me much more concisely who you are, then you will think about it. Oh, I am a doctor. Yes, but that medicine, knowledge of medicine is there with me right now. Therefore, I call myself a doctor. In the dream, are you a doctor? No. In the sleep state, are you a doctor? No. So is this doctor or the lawyer, is it relative or is it absolute? It is relative. Only in the waking state, I can say I am the doctor. Therefore, if I want you to tell me, are you a doctor? Are you a mother? Are you a daughter? Are you a you have got so many different roles. If you want to describe yourself only as one word, the only one word you can use is I am a waker. And you want to use the other three, dreamer, sleeper. Still, I am telling you, now you put all the three together, one. I am the ego I. Whatever is this experienced ego I is, it is an object of knowledge. So in Vedanta, subject of object difference is just an appearance. It is only relative. Reality is what? It is the light that makes the three states appear and disappear. This is $1 million statement. In Vedanta, in Mandukya Upanishad, this one sentence, if you understand, you have understood the whole Mandukya Upanishad. Turiyam is the light that makes the three states of the mind appear and disappear. It makes the Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna appear and disappear. I am that Turiyam, the intense presence, which is also called as Sakshi, Kutastha, timeless being. And it is not something which is not there. It is tangible. Each one of us, if you are able to understand this correctly, you will say, I know my real nature. I am that light which has no beginning, it has no end, because it is immortal light. It is not affected by the time. The time principle affects the mind, not the consciousness. Everything around the Sakshi or this Turiyam is changing. Identifying with the mind makes my whole life fickle and fleeting. All of us say, oh, time is really going fast. Why is it going fast? Because of the thoughts in our mind. We are all busy catering to the demands of our mind. The mind wants this, we all run towards achieving that. The mind wants this, again we run towards achieving that. Not knowing that the mind is fleeting and fickle. There's no rest for the mind at all. In the being witness awareness, there is no time. That is why it is called as Ananta. Ananta means the Satchit Ananda principle. Ananda is a technical term which is used to say it is Anantam. Anantam means limitless. Limitless means it is beyond time and beyond space and beyond all the objects, because it is the very subject. Universe appears in the fabric of time and space. Like you see a canvas and a painting. The painting is in the canvas, it appears in the fabric called as canvas. Beautiful picture of Lord Krishna and what is there? The background is the canvas. So in the canvas of time and space, I am seeing, experiencing the relative world. But beyond this time and space, there is what is called as Kutastha, the substratum, which is this Atma. Thought holds time. Without thought, there is no time. That is why in sleep state, we don't experience time, because there are no thoughts. Time is a product of the mind. When the mind wakes up, when the light of consciousness wakes up the buddhi in this body, then I am conscious of time, I am conscious of the body, I am conscious of the world. I am timeless, spaceless center of observation. Who am I? I am the observer, the Kutastha. I'm called as the observer when I have a world in front of me. When there is no world, as in the sleep state, I lose the status of being the observer. I myself am called Sakshi. Now you can understand the difference between Pramata and Sakshi. Pramata is the name used for the same mind, so the same consciousness when the mind is available. When the mind is not available, that Pramata itself merges and becomes the Sakshi. It's called as Sakshi. So in the waker eye, what is the substratum for that? Sakshi, Turiya. Dreamer eye, what is the substratum? Turiya. Sleeper eye, what is the substratum? Turiya. Who am I? Sleeper eye? No. Dreamer eye? No. They are all coming and going. Am I the Manomaya Kosha? No. Vijnanamaya Kosha? No. Annamaya Kosha? No. Am I the Sthula Shariram? No. Am I the Sukshma Shariram? No. I am the Turiyam, the light in which all these are coming and going. And that light is Swayam Jyoti. That is what Vidyaranya is trying to compare that light with the light in the dancing hall. Now you can see how deep is this 10th chapter. Very deep. You understand this 10th chapter, you have understood all the chapters of Panchadasi. But you should know this technically how it is arrived. That's why I packed this today's talk with the Mahavakya explanation, combining it with the Swayam Jyoti. With the background of Mahavakya, when you understand Swayam Jyoti, it makes a very deep significance in your understanding of the 10th chapter. Otherwise, you will just be saying, oh, there is a light in the dancing hall. That's all I remember. I don't know anything about Sakshi. So study these verses very, very deep. You cannot get a deeper verse than these type of verses to understand the reality, to understand the truth about our own self. That's why I find Panchadasi is such a beautiful text. Every text, every chapter will be only dwelling on our own real nature. Is there anything else we want really in life? No. I want to know myself. I want to know my real nature. The more you understand your true nature, you will fall in love with yourself and say, this is really a jewel it's a real jewel in my asset, in my personality. I have understood myself. What else do I need? This is total fulfillment, completeness in our own nature. Because this Turiyam, this light, is everything. Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman. All that is this light. It is so powerful. It is called as God. In consciousness, it's called as God. There is a law which says there are two types of illumination. One is called as Drishya Prakasha, the seen mind, body, sense organs. But this mind is not Swayam Prakasha. There is one which borrows the light and then reveals the external world, which is called as Drishya Prapancha. Now, Drik Prakasha means it is the light which is the seer's light. Seer that sees, which means the source of all seeing, all hearing, all thinking is this light. It is not objectified. Mundaka Upanishad, there are two very important mantras in Mundaka Upanishad. In the whole Upanishad, two mantras. Which are the two? This one, which we are studying, going to study now, which you all know, very famous. And the second mantra, which we will do in meditation today. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyato bhanti kutobhyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idham vibhati. Very important verse to understand who you are. This one verse, contemplation on this one verse alone can take you to the core of your personality. One verse in the entire Vedic literature. Swami Chinmayananda has taken this verse and made it as an ending verse for all his yajnas. Why? Because it's so powerful. Contemplate on this light of consciousness, which is a light after which every other light shines. The sun, the moon, the stars, the lightning, the fire, all that is anubhati. It shines after. Therefore, the I, the pure consciousness is this light. The same light is explained in the Bhagavad Gita very beautifully. Na tat bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Tad dhama, that abode is my supreme abode. That's what Lord Krishna says. When he says that, what is he referring to? The light of consciousness. Same meaning as the Mundaka Upanishad meaning is there in the Bhagavad Gita in this verse. The light of knowledge within you. Sarva buddhi pratyaya sakshi. What is the meaning of this Sarva buddhi pratyaya sakshi? It is the sakshi, it is the light in which all the thoughts are known to each one of us. Your thoughts are known to you. My thoughts are known to me. It is interior. It is sukshma. The subtlest in creation is this Atma. It is the being, most solid presence. Because it is, without this, there is no world. How to realize this awareness is the next few verses we will see. We must die to the changeful, unreal, egocentric life, strip it off, and then know the real nature. I remain solid as an intense being, which is awareness, Sakshi. How do I get to this core? By removing all the exterior dresses, which I am today taking it as my nature. I take the Annamaya Kosha, drop it, not me. Take the Mano Pranamaya Kosha, take it and drop it. Take the Manomaya Kosha, take it and drop it. Mentally, you have to do this exercise. Take each kosha in the mind and say, I am not this. I am not the Vijnanamaya kosha. If you're not sure of what is this Vijnanamaya, what is the difference between Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, wait for chapter 3 discussions. After another 10-12 verses, we'll be doing that. When I die to the world, I wake up to the reality and understand there is no death at all. No death at all means what? There is no death to me, the core light of consciousness in which the body is seen. Death, like the sleep. How is death? How do you describe death? Death is like a sleep state. In sleep state, what happens? I'm not identified with the gross body. That's all. Isn't it a very natural thing which is there in all of us? Therefore, why should I be afraid of death? Because being fearful of death means just bringing the thought of death in your mind. That's all. With the knowledge of the scriptures, with the knowledge of this light of consciousness, you will own up the light and drop the body identification and become fearless in life, become immortal. Each one of you, when you have gone through this process of the study of the Panchadasi, I guarantee you that you will be able to say that you will inwardly, you will feel I am immortal. And that is enough. You will feel I am complete, I am fulfilled in life. I have got this knowledge. What else do I want? I don't need anything else. This is called as self-realization. I am the ever-existence Sat principle, Chit principle, and Ananda principle, which is what is revealed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Om Brahmavidha apnoti param tadesha yuktam satyam jnanam anantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame yoman. This verse is a central verse of it's called as a Pratignya Vakyam of Taittiriya Upanishad, the second chapter, which is the main chapter for the teaching of Brahmavidha. So what it says is, Sakshi never changes, but the Buddhi changes relentlessly. So we need to drop this identification with the egoic life and be attached to the self-consciousness, awareness, in which there is nothing else except the awareness. That is the beauty of this Brahmavidya. It says that you alone are. Nirantaram bhasamane kutasthe. This is the word we should remember. Nirantaram means changelessly. Bhasamane means illumining. Kutasthe means it is the nirvikara swarupam of Atma. There is no vikara, there is no modification in this pure light. While it shines, the mind dances or becomes passive. That means the mind becomes manifest or unmanifest. But the self, the light of self, shines forever. Leave the mind, let it dance. It will stop itself, because thoughts are not permanent. Throughout your day, remember this fact of life. My thoughts are not permanent. They are fleeting. This is revealed to me by the Vedas. I accept it. Once I accept it, then it becomes easy for me to say and experience it also. I am the witness of the dance program which happens in my buddhi. I'm not the dancer buddhi, I am the light which is illumining the dance. Sarva Prakriti Vanchita. We live in a slavery of our own minds. So what is troubling you the most? It is not the world outside, but what troubles me most is my own mind. It is very, very close to the self. When the thoughts come, I feel as if this mind is me because of the proximity. The world commands us, we listen to the buddhi. We become cheerful or sad when we identify with the buddhi, and we run a life of the ego. Mind is avidya. This is one of the basic fundamental statements of Advaita philosophy. Avidya. Mind is avidya. It is ignorance. Why is it called ignorance? Because it is an appearance. Chit chaya. We'll study this depth in more in the other verses, but I'm just explaining to you how I try to go deeper within myself. So living a life of this ego is living a life of maya, of ignorance, of mula avidya. I don't know myself, which is Sakshi, which is called as mula avidya, primal ignorance. And what happens when I claim I am Sakshi? This is where liberation comes. I am Sakshi, the light, untouched by the three states of mind. I am Nitya Mukta Swarupa as Sakshi. So that was the very deep meaning of verse number 13, and which I said is a very important verse. With that, we finish 13th verse. Now we enter the 14th verse. Ahamkara Prabhu Sabhyam Vishaya Nartaki Mati. In this verse, the dance theater is being explained, and the metaphor is compared to the Sakshi. What is Sakshi and how does it compare to the dancing hall? If you see the description, you'll understand very easily. Now, the ahamkara, see, now we have to keep in mind our own nature in one box, and then try to compare the example with our nature. Each one of us has got the ego. That ego is called as Prabhu, in whose court the dance is going on. Sense objects are the Vishayas. That means I experience Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are all sensations which happen in the mind. They are only impulses. They are only stimuli coming from the world in the form of perceptions. Sabhya, this is compared to the audience, the citizens. It's an ever-changing world. The intellect is the buddhi. It is compared to the nartika. Nartika means the dancer. The buddhi is dancing with thoughts throughout the day. And what are the instruments of the musicians? They are the drum, the violin, the mridangam, and so on. Now, they are compared to the sense organs. See, like in Kathopanishad, you have the Ratha Kalpana. In Panchadasi, 10th chapter, we have this Nirtika, the dance hall, and the human body. Sakshi is compared to the Deepaha, light principle, which is the awareness in our body. There is a Sakshi principle, Chaitanyam, which illumines the three states. In the dancing hall, it is the light which is there on the ceiling of the hall, dance hall, which is illumining the stage when the dance is going on, and it also illumines when the dance stops. Saksha avabhasakaha. The world exists because of the light of Sakshi, which illuminates the ego, the sense organs, the mind, intellect, and the world. Sakshi is the truth of the universe. Like the light is the truth of the whole dance program, Sakshi is the truth. When there is no Sakshyam, that means there is no witnessed. That Sakshi cannot be called as Sakshi because it is not witnessing anything. When it is not witnessing anything, it is called as Brahman. The same Sakshi, when the witness, when we are in the when we are in the waking state, when I am not participating in the activities of the world, I'm just illumining the world, I am called as the Sakshi. But when this world itself is not there in my sleep state, I am in my absolute state, it is called as Brahman. When there's no Sakshyam, the witnessed, the Sakshi status is gone, which is what is called as Turiyam in Mandukya. When I know I am the ever-existent Sakshi of the sensations of the universe, I am Brahman. That means when I am able to differentiate properly, correctly who I am, even when the world is going on, I can say, Aham Brahma Asmi. Sarva Prakriti Vanchita, deceived of his own glory. That means I do not own this glory of my nature. I fall down from my nature to the Pramata status. And when I do this, what happens is, when I own up Aham Brahmasmi, I refuse to identify with the mind as what? As the self. Who am I? Sakshi or Brahman. Let no other thought come except Aham Brahma Asmi. I am the Sakshi. I am the Sakshi. The mind will keep working on the world, but that happens at a lower level. Like the tambura, which goes on when different ragas are being played. The musician always has the tambura Shruti at the background. I also have the Shruti background, Aham Brahmasmi. Watch the mind like you watch a thief. Then you will never lose your true nature. Pure Sakshi is detached. It is passionless awareness. But what is the awareness? When it is with passion, it is called as Pramata. When you're aware of the world, you become passionate for wealth, for food, for house, for business, for titles. All this belongs to the ego, buddhi, the dancer, nartaki, not the Sakshi, the light. Even if an iota of passion enters the buddhi, there is confusion between Sakshi and buddhi, and which is what is called as adhyasa, error. So the error starts right at the beginning when I have the ego, I thought, when I wake up. After that, error continues till I go to sleep. And again, next day morning, I start with the error again. This is the way we correct our error and say, I am no longer the sleeper I, waker I, dreamer I am the changeless Sakshi I. Body does not need you to be conscious of it all the time. Body does not live by ego or self-consciousness. Body follows the law of nature, the intelligence of Ishvara. The 15th chapter, Gita, there is a beautiful verse. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashitaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. This is the law, order in the world. There is order. There is law in this. There is the whole world which we see. There is order in this world. Like space, Sakshi holds the buddhi, but it doesn't get polluted by the buddhi's thoughts. Always we feel fresh if I am Sakshi. Never polluted. Buddhi has got thoughts up. It has got raga, desha, krodha, all this, it will come and go, but I am not attached to it. World so the Sakshi is never contaminated, like the space. Lamp illumines the tragedy, comedy on stage, not affected by the dancer, the king, or the audience. So the light is not affected. Similarly, I am that light of consciousness. With that, we stop today. The 14th verse we have seen. Still, the whole subject matter goes deeper and deeper. When we go through these verses, you will be able to go deep into your mind and say to yourself, I am that Sakshi. Own up that Sakshi. I'm sure each one of you have gone into the depth of your personality with these verses. Listen to these talks again and again. Let it ring a bell into your mind and say, I am that Sakshi. Once your buddhi has a first glimpse of this Sakshi, it will never leave, because it will get so attracted with this. Whatever, I cannot describe it, but each one of you will be able to experience this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. You can unmute yourself, and if you have any doubts, you can clarify. Does anybody have? Yeah, yeah.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, Ashutosh.
Sir, I have joined today, and yeah, sir, I want to know that, sir, whenever there is an understanding of the shlokas, but I feel I am not able to memorize them. That's the issue with me. So, sir, is this normal, or I have to be in that process of remembering, or just the understanding, and repeating that understanding itself is sufficient?
Yeah, you're right. The answer to your question is, there is no need to memorize the verses. While you're listening to the talk, you try to understand the meaning of the verses. So no need to remember each and every word of the verse. If you can remember one or two verses, like Na Tatra Suryo Bhati, if you can learn it by heart, and then you can use that mantra for your meditation. But otherwise, throughout the talk of Panchadasi, you just understand the meaning of each and every verse and try to apply it in your own mind to your own consciousness. That's all. You see, while you're listening itself, you will be able to go very deep within yourself. That is what is this process of study. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, Ashutosh. Yeah. Anybody else has any other question? Yeah, tell me. Bye-bye.
I've got three questions, from the verse 13,
Yeah.
there was a saying that there the sun does not shine, nor the moon, nor the stars.
Yeah.
So, is it in the God kingdom?
No. That God kingdom is in you. See, God kingdom is definitely, it doesn't shine. But what it says is, this God kingdom is in your own heart. You see, when you go deep within your mind, you should say that in that heart of mine, in that buddhi of mine, is the God residing. That God of Ganesha, that Murti of Sri Krishna, which I pray to, that Lord is present in my own intellect. So Natatra Suryo Bhati means, it means that that light is there in my intellect. And I am trying to see that Lord in my own buddhi. And it's possible. You see, when you try to drop all the objects of the world, then what will happen is this light will shine in your own mind. It is devoid of all the objects of the world. Just remember that light is not the light of the sun. See, when you close your eyes, you should repeat these words. In my intellect, in my buddhi, there is no light of the sun because I have closed my eyes. There is no light of the moon because I have closed my eyes. When I close my eyes, I cannot see the sun or the moon or the fire or the lightning. But I can still know I am. How do I know I am? It is not with that light outside, but it is with the light inside. When I close my eyes and I tell myself, I am the pure light, pure being. It means that I am that pure consciousness, nothing else. That is the light you are trying to meditate. Initially, you'll have to say a few thoughts. The meaning, you should try to bring it in your mind and again repeat this meaning in your own mind. And then what will happen is the mind will, instead of going out into the world, it will start becoming introvert. When it becomes introvert, there is a thought which will come, which will tell you that this is the peace which you have been looking for. It will come to each of our buddhis. And it will come and say that this is the peace, that this peace can never be lost. Nothing in the world can affect this peace. And each one of us can experience this. Yeah, Shama?
Namaste. 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 Thank you. It's just so wonderful. I have a question that is one able to see, not see really, because it is not something that is an object. You actually become that pure Sakshi awareness,
Yes.
absolute. So there is nothing that you actually see because that's where the objectification ends, isn't it?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, but before that, in this whole dance hall, the buddhi is the dancer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now the buddhi is dancing to the tune of the ego.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the ego which is pushing the buddhi to go and enjoy the world.
To do also some,
yes.
Go and gymnastics.
Go and see the WhatsApp, go and see the TV, go and see the laptop, and go and open up your your internet, go and see your mail, who has come, who has said something. It is the agent. The agent is that buddhi. In the mind, you see, we are going to study this in very big detail in chapter 3. In chapter 3 and in chapter 1 of Panchadasi, the mind is going to be completely will be dissected, and it will say that this portion is called as the buddhi, this portion is called as the manas, and the mind acts as an agent the mind acts as an instrument. There are two things the mind itself acts. Whenever the mind acts as the agent, it is called as buddhi. Whenever the mind acts as an instrument to see the world outside, and then it is called as an instrument. So the mind is going in this pendulum. It is a karta and it is also as an instrument. Karanam. We are going to study all that in chapter 1 and 3 of the Panchadasi.
So I'm just trying to understand the process.
Yes.
Does it mean that ultimately the at a point of time when hopefully one can reach the complete state of egolessness?
Yes.
There cannot be anything except the abidance of the pure
yes.
absolute consciousness.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is
yes.
a default position. Yeah?
That's a default position.
Right. Okay. So
and in that position, there is nothing except the Sakshi. There is nothing else except the pure light.
And in the meanwhile, the only thing, the task that we perhaps have as a seeker is the more and more we are devoted to the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. That's all we have, isn't it?
Yes.
Because anything else activity is probably more contrary. I mean, there will be obviously Vyavaharika, obligatory social duties, niyamit karmas. We'll have to continue doing it. But even while you're doing it, it is perhaps trying to encourage to, even at that stage, to be the witness, the dancer, and all of it at the same time. Does it happen that then you can actually see that you are the actor, the dancer, you are the witness, and you know, the patron, everything?
Yes, it happens. Yes, it happens. It's possible to come and have that experience of being a witness to the entire world around you. It's possible. It's possible to remain as a witness, because what today we all lack is that there is something which is true, which is the light, and whatever the light is showing is all drishyam. The drishyam is anatma. Drishyam means the experiences before us is all anatma. Anatma means it is not atma. So the ultimate knowledge which you get from the Veda is whatever I experience is not atma. Keep that one basic rule.
And
whatever I experience is anatma. I am the experiencer. The experiencer can never be negated. Never. If you say I don't exist, then the world doesn't exist. I exist and then the world exists. But I exist in spite of the world not being appearing, which is what happens in the sleep state. You see, the non-objectification of the self, this is there in my meditation notes. If you see it, this particular line is there in today's meditation. Non-objectification of the subject is not the proof of non-existence of the subject. It's not a proof. We all feel that this is where there is a big debate, where somebody says, how come you say that this is the biggest debate which we find with the Buddhists. They come and tell us that in sleep state there is nothing. So why are you bringing all this Atma and light of consciousness and all that? Isn't this your own figment of your own imagination? To that, Shankaracharya gives a very firm reply. And he says it is without the subject, you cannot have the nothingness known. The blankness you're talking about in the sleep state is known by something. You cannot deny that experiencer of the blankness. That experiencer of the blankness is the experience of the ignorant state. The sleep state is the ignorant state. And that is why it is called as the Karana Shariram. That is the Karanam for the entire Jagrat and Swapna. And it is beyond this Karana Shariram, the Sakshi is there.
Yeah.
So Sakshi is a witness to the blank state of ignorance. Don't miss that point, because this is the most crucial point. Even for us, because in the waking state, we are not able to understand this consciousness. Because the sense organs are all completely full of light with the sense objects. Whatever you may try, the sense organs and the sense objects are open.
Yeah.
I cannot stop the sound from coming inside and all this, but the only way Shankaracharya says is, analyze, don't stop with the waking state, analyze the deep sleep state in a very intrinsic way, and understand that in the deep sleep state, there is an ignorance which is there of the self, of that witness. That ignorance which exists of the self in witness, that is what is called as Mula Avidya. Very important technical term in Vedanta. Mula Avidya means, in the sleep state, I do not know my real nature. And that is the point, that ignorance is what Vedanta is trying to remove. Vedanta wants you to say that Sakshi is my real nature, of that ignorant state, of that blank state, whatever you call it as a blank state, is nothing but it is a non-differentiated state. That's all. It is a non-differentiated state of subject and object. In the waking, there is a subject, there is an object. In the dream, there is a subject and there is an object. In the sleep, there is no subject, there is no object difference. That non-differentiation of the subject-object is called as the sleep state. It is an ignorant state. But there is a witness to that. That witness is called as Chaitanya. That witness is called as Ananda. That witness is called as beyond the five koshas. This particular point you will come to know in chapter 3, when Swami Vidyaranya will go through all the five koshas. He will say that Anandamaya kosha is that state in which you experience the bliss of the self. But you are not aware that you are experiencing that bliss. That is what is called as ignorance.
Yeah, just
and
allow me to
remove that ignorance, and you are with yourself. That's all.
Just one last question.
Yeah.
Say, what happens for a spiritually alert mind in this whole process? Is it that the light becomes more available so that you're able to crystal clear see everything?
Yes, yes, you're right. That light is always there and you're aware of it.
Okay.
That light is always there and you're aware 24 hours, 365 days, 24 hours, it's always, and you're aware. I am that light, I am that light, I am that pure. It is not a physical light. This is a spiritual light. It cannot be seen by the eyes. There is no, I cannot hear, there is no sound for that spiritual light. it doesn't have any taste. It cannot be thought by the mind because the mind's light is that light.
And therefore it will actually make sharper your viveka
Yes.
and vairagya. It will
Yes.
just very quickly come to our assistance.
Yes.
I'm
Always,
hoping so.
the moment you're awake to this light, you
Yes.
will have a very clear understanding of all the events in your life.
Thank you.
Okay?
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, Deepak?
yes, sir. No, I've understood. I think this whole, I think is really, this chapter has really clarified a lot of things that we have done in the past.
You just
And,
wait for chapter 3
so
and chapter 1. They
chapter
are
3 will certainly
mind-blowing.
blow me apart, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to once again this thing. The intellect the ego makes the intellect buddhi dance to the tune of the musicians, which are the sense organs in this case. In this entire nataka.
Yes.
Right? And the intellect objectifies those experiences coming through the sense organs, right?
Yes,
It
absolutely.
objectifies these.
It is,
That's
yes, it is the I, that pramata.
Parmata.
Yeah,
Right? It
pramata.
objectifies it.
Yes.
This is what it is, this thing.
Correct.
And so and rightfully said that the Sakshi is beyond the internal, external. The internal is obviously the mind and senses. The external is all the objects.
Yes.
And it is beyond this. So to that extent, I'm fairly clear. And I think this will go into more details as we discuss it.
Yeah.
But I think the mute point again, and what Shamaji has also sort of asked, is that in the world that we live in,
In
as
the Vyavahara, yeah.
Vyavaharaka Jivan,
yeah.
We do tend to be very close to the I. We tend to sort of, be close to Sakshi, but we are not Sakshi. And as somebody has written that they are inseparable in the sense that the I is like the shadow to the Sakshi, so literally, and we take the shadow as the reality, whereas Sakshi beyond the shadow.
Yes.
So, but I find that in the process of meditation, reflection, contemplation, we come in very close to understanding, yes, this is a shadow, this world is really the objects, they're all happening, we are actors in this entire drama of life. But I find that unless, and it's not been written much, that is there a paradigm shift that, but can we be as professionals be in that state?
Yes,
or do we need to be renunciate?
No, you don't need to be a renunciation. You don't need to be a renunciate because, see, the renunciation only help the speeding of this process. The renunciation of monks, being a monk, will only speeden up the process. But being a grihastha, being a complete professional, you can be a CEO of a company, but still you can be a realized person. You see, realization has not got anything to do with your profession, because profession depends on your buddhi. Your buddhi you are using outside for a certain purpose. Shama uses to see patients. You are using to in the hospitality sector. So you can remain in whatever line you are. You can use your buddhi for whatever purpose you are in the outer world. That is got nothing to do. Only thing is, remember the fact that this buddhi is not me. It is acting, it is going through the joys and sorrows of the world, but it is not me. Whenever you are trying to understand who am I, immediately this knowledge should immediately spring to your mind. I am the Sakshi.
So I've understood what you're saying. Where is the mystical part in this entire? I don't see that.
There is no mysticism in Vedanta.
There's no mysticism.
Absolutely no mysticism. This is pure science. There is no mysticism at all. Vedanta says, you take your own experience into consideration, apply all what Vedanta is teaching you, and realize it in your own self. Is it true what Vedas is teaching me? It is telling you experiment with your own self, but it is not experiential self, but you can experiment, you can see it in your own self. Vedanta is not mystical. It is not telling you to believe that there is something and you believe it. There is no, absolutely none, neither Shankaracharya, neither Vidyaranya Swami, neither Nishala Dasa. There is no mysticism at all, pure science.
But we do hear in the life of Vidyaranya Swami that and they don't discuss it, but that he had supernatural powers.
That is separate. No,
so
once you have this knowledge,
as you grow in consciousness, don't you get those?
Once you have this knowledge, you may have powers to see, to do things, but the jnani is not at all in that. He is not at all believing in those powers.
Because he wants to reach the ultimate.
He knows the true nature, you see. Like Swami Chinmayananda was asked by a journalist, are you God? He says, I don't say I am God. People are telling me I am God. I am not saying I am God. There is a difference when people tell you are God rather than I saying I am God. He says, I don't say I am God.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the beauty of a jnani. You see, jnani knows his true self. He knows where he's standing. He knows his substratum. He knows the pure knowledge. The knowledge is his only asset for him. There's nothing else in the world which is an asset for a jnani. Only knowledge. The knowledge of what? Mahavakya knowledge. Tat Tvam Asi knowledge.
If it is so scientific, and I'm sorry, I'm going to ask this very stupid question. That would mean, Shekharji, that at the highest level, every teacher of Vedanta must have achieved that level of shift in his consciousness.
Purity of mind.
Should have reached.
Yes, he will have purity of mind. Every Vedanta teacher will have that purity. Without that purity, you cannot teach. You cannot teach. You cannot convince people of what you are not. So as you learn, you see, you yourself will start feeling that I am becoming more pure. As you learn this Atma Tattva more and more, as your own mind becomes, you remove all the doubts in your mind. You're removing all the impurities. The samskara of your mind is becoming more and more pure. That impure mind has got doubts. Impure mind feels that Vedas is all, it's all mystical. But a pure mind will say it is the truth. Nothing else but the truth. Just wait for the other chapters. Wait for the end of this chapter itself. You will find, oh my God, this is Sakshi. This is Sakshi. This is Sakshi. Again and again, Vidyaranya will drill you into the fact that you are the Sakshi. Okay? All right. Anybody else has a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So whenever we say we are witnessing something, or this thought, I might be using the wrong word. The thought of witnessing, that okay, I am witnessing, is not this the exercise of mind?
It is not a thought. Witnessing is not a thought. It is nature. It is pure nature. Like the sun is not witnessing everything which is going on the earth. It is its nature to shine. It is the nature of Atma to illumine whatever is in front of the mind. The mind is experiencing the world which is bringing through the sense organs. The mind is receiving the sense perceptions. The sense perceptions are being illumined internally by the light of consciousness. That's all. So when you try to understand this Sakshi nature, that is why in the slide presentation I said, This Sakshi is only in the waking state when you are seeing the world. In the sleep state, there is no world. There is pure ignorance at that state. So Sakshi is ignorant, is illumining that ignorance also. It is aware of that ignorance. By this study, we are removing that ignorance, that wheel which is there in the sleep state. We are trying to remove that, and then trying to understand who you are in your true nature.
You know, in this commentary, there's a very nice analogy where it says that the waker is neither in the dream nor it is beyond the dream and the dreamer's world.
Yes.
So, you know, if we were to say, where is the waker relationship dreamer?
Yes.
Similarly, Sakshi is neither in or out. It is beyond the internal and external.
Yeah. You see, what we have to remember is, see, we are all aware of ourselves being a waker.
Yeah.
We are all aware of ourselves being a dreamer. We are all aware of ourselves being a sleeper. This is our common experience. Without the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or the Panchadasi, you will say, I was sleeping, I was dreaming, I was waking. And it was one common entity which is all three. I am the same person who went to sleep. I am the same person who had the dream. I am the same person who was in the waking. What the new revelation is that this waker, sleeper, dreamer are all relative. But there is something which is always there, but which I've never noticed it.
Substratum.
The substratum or the light. You see, I'm watching the dance program and I'm saying it is a waking dance, it is a dream dance, it is a sleep dance. Now, I never look up and look into the light in which I'm seeing all this. So Vedanta says you look at the light in which you're seeing all the three states. That light is changeless. It is imperishable. That is the Turiya. That is the Turiya, the invariable state. That is the invariable nature of mind. This body is not my invariable nature because this body is not experienced in the sleep state. My intellect is also not known. It vanishes in the sleep state. That is why in the third chapter, Vidyaranya not only describes the five koshas, he also asks the question and he gives you a reason why this buddhi is not Atma, why this mind is not Atma. He will give you the reasons, convincing reasons. Buddhi is not there in that sleep state, therefore, how can I be the buddhi? Because I'm still there in the sleep state, I'm still there. As what? As the Sakshi, as the pure self. See, we all have to shift our attention. Instead of looking at the chain and the bangle and this, that it is a 5-gram chain or a 20-gram chain, I just shift the attention to the gold. Similarly, when you're looking at the external world, I shift the attention to the light, which is the gold, which is the pure Sakshi. You keep looking at the world, no harm. But there is a shift in your intellect. I am not caught up. Whereas Ajnani will always get caught up in the world. He will just run behind it and then he'll get deluded. He'll say, oh my God, I've got into a samsara. Whereas a jnani will say, no, the samsara is not my nature. It is just a temporary thing which I'm experiencing. Tomorrow morning, it will be gone. What I'm experiencing today as samsara, tomorrow it will not exist. Yeah, Shama?
There, I just, it's an amusing thought, and I thought it's interesting to share an experience where I feel this Sakshi status, or it's almost like putting a little video recorder in your head, audio video recorder, which is recording all what is happening outside, as well as all what is happening inside your own mind as a reaction.
That's correct, yes.
So it's been very useful. So I'm just sharing this utilitarian idea of.
No, you're right. Yes.
Yeah. So what happened was I had recently to attend a Indian wedding, which it was a social obligation. I could not get out of it, and I just had to attend. And then the mind was absolutely revolting and feeling very agitated while I was there in this most beautiful surroundings and most beautiful. I mean, you cannot fault it in terms of if one has to create a perfect wedding venue and whatnot. So beautiful. And here was me finding it absolutely so ostentatious, so annoying, where everyone was enjoying it. Everyone, I could see everyone except me was absolutely so immersed in it, enjoying it. And I was thinking, what a fool, what is it? And I was telling myself, am I socially a misfit? I'm a socially inept person, I'm this and that. And so this reaction, and until just today morning, so it's taken me a week. And I'm so grateful that we are doing this Panchadasi lessons, because actually then I could see open my box, the video recorder box, what exactly was happening, because it was my internal reaction within my mind.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with the world outside where
Absolutely.
I live.
That is Ishvara Srishti. Only my mind was commenting with likes and dislikes. That is Jiva Srishti.
And I was thinking all this, why am I here in India? I should be back there in my solitude, back in the, near forested place where I live around in London. The total escapist attitude.
Yeah. But anyway, what you should say is that whatever experiences which I'm undergoing is mithya. You must use that word mithya very often.
And also use it as an instruction. So because there was a value, I could see there was a value in this experience.
Yes.
Because it told me something about myself, how my mind operates.
Yes.
So in that way, this Sakshi thing is a very useful.
It's very, very practical, very practical. You can use it. It's very practical.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoying an event or not enjoying an event, both are experiences only.
Yes.
But so futile.
Yeah.
Futile,
but I mean,
so futile. Why the mind must be engaged?
Yeah, it always happens that we try to discriminate. We are still with that buddhi only. So a situation we should feel where we are neither not different to either other two. That is what is the state actually, when we are not with our buddhi.
That is what Lord Krishna calls again and again samatvam.
Samatvam.
Yeah. Samatvam yoga uchyate. It's the highest of the excellence in action is this samatva buddhi.
Yeah, but Sitoshna Sukha Dukkesu Samasanga Vivijita.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Which means not attachment, non-attachment.
Non-attachment to it is appearing. I will experience it. I have no complaints. I will experience the good as well as the bad.
Both are
I am indifferent to both.
What you said is very right, that you see all of this in the light of consciousness.
Yes, again and again.
Once that you say, which means that you shouldn't feel guilty about any of these elements that happen.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, my buddhi went berserk yesterday, and that's all. It got diluted, and that's the nature of the buddhi. That's all.
And the drama is finished.
Yeah, the drama is over. That's it. Again tomorrow. another new drama will start. That's all.
Another new
I have no
drama will
control
start.
over the drama outside. That is under the control of Ishvara. The drama outside is under the control of Ishvara. I start believing in Ishvara. There is a controller of all my experiences. The more I learn Vedanta, I get more and more aware of the expression of God. You see, it is the more I learn Vedanta, I begin to see God in almost all the expressions which I experience in life. That is the change which happens. Earlier, I used to ask, where is God? Where is God? I don't see God.
I think
Like many people.
So the good and the bad and the ugly, and that's where the problem comes, Shekharji, because when you see mass destruction, genocide, and all the things that revolts us, because revulses us actually, because of what they're happening, then you ask, and it's happening to good people.
Yeah.
Then you wonder where is God, you know, that, and then you sort of, as an Indian, you sort of reconcile that there is a prarabdha and there is this another script that is playing. So, you know, this prarabdha and karma is a very sort of a nice way to sort of
comfortable philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah, it gives you a formula to it gives you a formula to explain your experiences in life. That's all. The law of karma is a format in which you can put all your experiences in that format. That's all. Beyond that, there is something. Beyond these experiences, there is an experiencer. You must be aware of the experiencer and explain the experiences by the law of karma.
Which
for the experiencer, you use the scriptural knowledge of the Upanishads. Don't have your own logic. Oh, this is how it should be. Use the scriptural study. This is what the Upanishad is telling me. This is what is imperishable nature, aksharam. Aksharam is that Sakshi.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you know, it will take, because what sometimes I get the feeling that the light is only a light in which the drama is happening, and therefore the light does not interfere in that drama. The drama is happening because it is scripted, and therefore that prarabdha comes into place.
Yes.
Pre-scripted drama of life, in which the choices that I make are limited to I guess some bit, which gives me
very limited.
New karma.
Our own choices which we make is very insignificant when you compare the whole life.
Yeah.
You see, why I'm born to this mother, why I'm born to this father, why I'm born to this brother or sister, sibling, unknown. Unknown. No answer. Nobody has an answer. Nobody has a clue. The things which we don't know about the world is much more than what we know. We know a tiny bit about this world, that's all. Okay? Thank you. I think it's taken a long time for the discussion. We can go on for another 3-4 hours without any problems. But time is really up. We'll meet next week. Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Hari Om. Thank you, Rohit. Bye.